You are listening to The Radiator, 105.9 WOMMLP Burlington. We are here on Rocket Shop this evening. I'm your host, Ross, and we're here with the Cam Gilmour trio. Good evening, guys. How we doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. So we'll get to the talking portion of the evening here in a minute. How about you guys play us in with a song?
Sounds good. It's called Ambient Campfire.
That was the Cam Gilmour Trio with Ambient Campfire. That was really cool, guys. So let's start off by introducing yourselves to our audience this evening.
Yeah, my name's Cam Gilmour.
And you play all sorts of things over there, I
today
see.
it's saxophone and guitar.
Should I talk in the mic or is there?
Go right. Go for it.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
I'm Sam Atala. I play keys and trumpet.
And I'm Ben Schneer. I'm playing drums.
Thanks for joining us tonight, guys. Cam, when I was browsing your social media channels earlier today, it feels to me like you are sort of equal parts musician and photographer, which I found pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not equal parts. They do balance each other out. It depends on the month, you know.
Which did you come across first, music or photography?
Definitely music.
How did you go from one to the other?
Well, my dad is a musician, and I've been around that sort of thing my whole life. So it was something that was like easy to see as possible growing up, you know. Yeah, and I did music in school, starting in middle school, going up through, and it wasn't till I think I was sophomore year in college, I found like a dusty old box of my grandmother's film cameras. And
Oh, so you started with film photography.
yeah, I shoot pretty much only film.
Nice. That's awesome. Have you always kind of mashed them together? How did you find a way to mix the two together on a regular basis? It seems like that's kind of what you're.
Yeah, that's what it's developed into. Definitely didn't start that way. It just kind of the photography. I was, you know, going on a trip and wanted to document, so I brought the camera along. But yeah, I think it happened pretty naturally because I was building up this like store of photos that I wanted to do a project with, and also had this store of songs that I wanted to make into something more than their parts. So I put it together, and I like to think they elevate each other, you know.
Yeah, they seem to go pretty well together.
Mm-hmm.
I found it interesting that you kind of chose jazz as your primary musical vehicle. When I was thinking about it earlier today, jazz is interpretive, and it leaves you open to interpret what's going on with the music. There's less lyrics, and that's what we had going on there with your first song.
Mm-hmm.
Is that is that a conscious decision as far as you guys staying true to jazz and how that works with interpreting your photography?
It's interesting.
Kind of a deep question to start the night, but
Yeah, well, I mean, Sam and I both went to jazz school, UVM, and it's a music that I really love, and yeah, it just kind of that's what I came up in, and you use what you know, really.
the world does need more jazz.
Mm-hmm.
How about we hear another song?
Sure.
What do you got?
This one's called Words.
words that hold us close through the night into a song. We can sing songs that lift our souls through. Listening for that first step and the next. Soon will matter less than the past. Feel left since there is no end. Besides the storm, after all, what's time but one?
That was the Cam Gilmour Trio with Words. Our friend Lauren has scooted over here next to me. She's going to ask you a few questions now.
Sounds great.
Hello. Happy to be here with you guys. We're a little experimental today, just like your jazz. So we'll see how this goes. So Ross just asked a bunch of questions to you, Cam, but I actually wanted to pick on Sam and Ben a little bit because Sam, we had you here about a month ago with another band. Ben, I've seen you go through multiple bands over the last few years. So I was wondering for you guys, and Cam, feel free to chime in as well about other projects you've had, but I'm wondering what distinguishes this project for you.
I can definitely speak to saying that Cam's project, one of my favorite musical projects in all of Burlington. All of Cam's songs really strike so deeply to me. I've been playing with Cam for, I don't know, 5 years, 6, something like that. And I feel like it's really become second nature in a really weird way when I'm playing with Cam. Cam will introduce a new song and I feel like I already know it.
So is the bond really strong with all of you guys for this project?
Yeah, I love all these songs so much. They're all Cam songs, but I love getting to play on them. Very selfishly.
Sam, this is a second jazz project for you. What do you feel is the defining feature of this compared to some of your other projects?
Well, I guess I remember early on when I started playing with Cam, when he decided to coin it indie jazz, which I'm not sure you're still a fan of that label or not. I think it works pretty well for what the music is. I think it's probably the most. It's really the only band I'm in that does a lot of ambient stuff, which is good. I think it's good for me as a player, and it's also it's a lot less about technicality and more about listening, which can be pretty hard to do. So it's a lot easier to talk than listen sometimes. But yeah, it's I think Ben and I were actually just watching, or we were like arguing over which one of us played bass at one of the shows like 4 or 5 years ago, and we couldn't. I think we did figure it
I
out,
think I
but
was right.
yeah, Ben was right. But yeah,
So who was it?
it was Ben.
I was playing bass.
It was at it was the one before the Sunburst release show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Ben.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think some of the other group that I played in here, Bella and the Notables, is definitely more like what you call like straight ahead jazz. And then this group is definitely like more experimental, as you said. So fun stuff.
So Cam, I'm hearing that you're kind of the glue of the group, which I guess should be expected since it's named after you.
That was
But
we just named it after him as a formality.
Right. It's just a front.
well, so being the one who the group is named after, did you have a specific vision when you started this project, or was it more just connecting with friends you have a bond with?
I think it was like summer after freshman year of college, and I suddenly made a EP, as you do when you need to like process something. And I kind of could tell that this was something, the album process was something that was a lifelong thing, and who knows who I'll be in 20 years. So might as well just use my name and call it that.
Fair enough. And I have one more question that I'm going to pick on Ben again for a minute, because I noticed you using something interesting over there on your drums, and maybe it's my jazz ignorance, but I was wondering if you could describe what you're using over there for our listeners and tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, I am using brushes instead of sticks to play the drums, just because I want to be a little quieter. That's the main goal. Sometimes I feel like, I don't know, I like to be mindful as a drummer sometimes. For this project, I like to be mindful.
Where did you pick up that idea from? Is that a common jazz thing that I'm ignorant of, or is it something you found from someone you admire? Or?
I think it's for some songs, a lot of jazz folks do it for like a softer show, or like folks will switch on and off depending on the song. But yeah, for this, I don't always play with these with Cam's set, but I thought for tonight the brushes would be nice, just a little soft touch.
All right, well, I'm learning a lot here, so how about we go into our next song?
Sounds great. This one's called Adrift.
Time flows like water, and the rain has come to the river's mouth, where drops of torn asunder. Each moment to test what you now. lightly known as I do now. Time flows like water. The rain has gone to the river's mouth. But one day I'll be a father. Likely no less than I do now.
That was the Cam Gilmour trio with Adrift, I believe. Yes. While I was getting ready for this earlier, I noticed that the majority of your previous releases are larger than trios, which made me think. I wondered why you guys decided to trim down to a trio for this particular new project.
Yeah, I mean, you probably saw like for the album credits, 7 people or whatever, and I think that fits that process a lot better to have like pedal steel on these 4 tracks and trumpet and saxophones and the whole bit. Like, why not pull out all the stops for the record? But then for the live thing, part of it's availability. Like, not everyone's down on a Wednesday night. And part of it is also kind of what Ben was saying about the listening is, in a live situation, I think the trio works really well. There's enough space for everybody to hear each other, and like you get that conversation piece more so than a larger group.
So jumping off that, we have the 3 people, but we've got a lot more instruments than just 3 here. I was watching Sam was playing keyboard with a trumpet on his lap. Cam, you've got your guitar and a saxophone. Ben's back there with his drums and allegedly a bass at some point. I see something else behind you. Is that an oboe or something?
It's a soprano sax.
A soprano sax. So how many instruments exactly are part of this project? Or is it just infinite, however many you can find and play?
I generally am playing guitar, saxophone, and bass. And then Sam's doing keys and trumpet and bass. And Ben is doing drums and bass, depending on what the set looks like. We were debating whether to bring the bass today, and we went, I think, what did we got? Like 6, 7 instruments. Felt like enough for a 4-song set.
So do you alter the songs based on which instrument you're playing that day? Or does each song have set which instruments you're doing on that song? Does it change from set to set?
Yeah, it depends on the set. Like if we're playing a more larger venue or something and we need groovier songs, having a bass player really helps. So we'll play, it's kind of both, to answer your question. We'll play more of the bass-centric songs, and I don't know, and some of them you can have bass or you could not, sort of thing.
Thinking about the new project is a photo album and a music album coming together, correct? Honestly, the first thing I thought of was listening to Dark Side of the Moon with Wizard of Oz. Is that a similar kind of feel that you were kind of concept that you were thinking about here, or something like
similar
that?
To that. So my last record, Frames, I started with the music and then had the photos and had narrowed the photos down from like 100 to 12 photos, and then it's like, oh, I have 12 tracks on this album. How would they fit together? And then on this next project of Air, I wrote the book, which is 8 chapters of photos and words, kind of philosophy, nature meanderings. And now I'm intentionally setting out to compose music for each chapter with the idea that you would read the book with the music. Yeah, and it's been really interesting to kind of do the reverse of that and to have the concept already set. Like, this is the chapter, this is how long it is, this is what the general feel is. How can I make music to fit that?
That's really cool. Now I'm even extra looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept to make the music while you write the book. I think I've heard a lot of the opposite, where people are inspired by music to write, but I don't know if I've heard of someone who wrote the book first and then wrote music to fit it. How did you come up with that concept? Is it just something you've always wanted to do, or just a random thing that came to mind one day?
I don't know. It just came sort of naturally, I would say. Maybe it just happened, like so happened that the photo book project was taking off as my last album was coming out. It was taking off like conceptually in my spirit or whatever. And so obviously I didn't really have much music to go off of when I was writing the book part. And I really liked how the parallel medium thing paired on the last project. So I thought it would make sense to try, and it's been really fun. Definitely a challenge, but really fun as well.
Very cool. Are we ready for another song? Or
If you guys are ready.
you don't have any more questions, Russ?
You've asked so many good ones, Lauren. I have nothing left. How about you guys play us another song?
Sure. This is Line off my last record, Frames. It's about starting at the beginning all over again.
Walking down the line again. This time I think I'll bring some friends. Bring some friends. It's not too late to turn your head. Walking down the line again, 1,000 meters to either side. No one left to hold your hand. 1,000-meter drop to either side. Understand that storm inside your mind.
That was the Cam Gilmour Trio in Lines. Cam, I was thinking earlier today, both music and photography are inherently kind of difficult. What do you find more difficult, music or photography?
Probably music because I've been doing it longer. It's counterintuitive as that might sound.
That is not the answer I was expecting, if only because I know as a amateur photographer myself, the longer I've done it, the easier it gets. And I would have thought the opposite. If you haven't been doing photography for quite as long, that would be more frustrating for you.
I mean, I like the camera, especially film, because you just have 3 variables, really. And then you just gotta see it, right? Like, just pre-visualize the shot. That's really the hard part. And imagine the longer I do photography, that'll be the part. Like, that's where the depth is for me. And I feel like because I've been doing music for longer, I'm further along, maybe, on that journey. So I feel like I know less.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. I was also thinking, because this new project is both art and music, have you thought about doing anything kind of unique in terms of the promotion for it and like an album launch, as far as like an exhibit of your photography that you'll play amongst?
That would be awesome. Gotta find a way to fund it. But definitely the release show will be a special thing, for sure.
And I assume you know when that's coming? When will that be?
In the next year, maybe.
Oh, nice. Well, hopefully we'll be able to have you back a little closer to release time as well. Lauren's got another question or two, I think.
Well, I guess that kind of puts a spin on my question, but I was wondering, because, earlier you said that a lot of the concept of this has to do with nature, and I think every Vermonter knows that at this point spring has sprung, considering it was 70 degrees today. So I was kind of wondering if the timing of this has to do with the changing of seasons, or if it was more just coincidental that you're pulling out all this new stuff as nature's starting to come back. Fate or symbolism, I guess it boils down to.
Well, there's photos from all 4 seasons in the book. It's a lot of it is set in my hometown, where I went back and lived there for 9 months last year in a little cabin. And I think it's a lot easier to see the beauty in all 4 seasons when you're in a more rural setting as opposed to the city. Burlington City. Yeah.
So this is more an overall look at nature rather than picking out any particular scenario or season or instance. Very broad view of things.
Yeah, and like that first tune we did, Ambient Campfire, that is parallel to chapter 3 of the book, and that's all like blossoms and tree buds and stuff like that.
So is the book itself, is it a progression from chapter to chapter throughout the year, or is it like just whatever goes wherever goes?
There's definitely a story. It's not quite that linear, though.
Very cool.
Do you find a particular season to be more fruitful, either as in terms of writing music or photos? Do you feel inspired by one over another?
You asked me this question once.
I've asked you this before.
I do not really have an answer.
Does the answer change every time the question is asked?
Depends on like where I am in the project cycle. I don't know. I like to shoot more black and white during winter. And winter is a great time for practicing like long tones on the horn and more fundamental composing stuff, and summer is often like presenting and more polished.
Well, it sounds like you've got a pretty defined kind of sense of where the seasons fall musically. I was wondering if maybe Ben and Sam might want to chime in if they have similar thoughts about that, or if they've contributed certain elements because of the imagery behind certain songs or anything like that.
They haven't seen the photos for the new project yet.
Yeah.
So it's all just a blind box for you guys.
Yeah, we definitely haven't seen them, but it's interesting what you were saying about summer being more for presenting, because I haven't really thought about it like that, but I definitely think that's true, and especially like during the summer of the pandemic, summer of 21, it was sort of like everything came back all at once, so I definitely felt that way back then, and I don't know, I guess every subsequent summer has kind of felt similar, with especially in Burlington with Jazz Fest being the first week of June. It kind of ushers in that era. So this year, hopefully that'll be the case again. But I guess I didn't really answer your question, but whatever.
It's all right as long as you enjoy what you're talking about.
Yeah,
always
we're just winging it over here too. It's all good. So kind of to round things out, where can we expect to see you guys playing soon locally? Do you have any shows lined up anywhere soon?
Yeah, Sam and I are playing on June 3rd in the City Hall Park for one of the Burlington markets.
Awesome.
Is that for Jazz Fest or just in general?
I don't think it's officially affiliated. It's like through BCA. But jazz will be in the air for sure.
Jazz should be in the air a lot more often than it is, I think. Lauren, should we let them play out one more song?
Well, first, I think maybe we should ask about where people can find you on social media and where we can find your releases.
Yeah, I mean, they're everywhere you would want them to be, streaming wise. And best place is Bandcamp, or buy a CD or buy a print. And you can do that through my website, which is camgilmour.com, or go to my Instagram, which is cgilmourmusic.
Great. Well, I think we are ready to hear your last one.
Reborn.
I'd like to note that in a very jazz fashion, the musicians are deliberating.
I think that might be because we're making them play a fifth song by accident.
Oh.
That's okay. Or small spaces.
Oops.
Or true.
Kind of want to do another ambient.
Okay.
This one is called Interlude on Prescience.
I think we made the time today. It's my fault. Poor production. That was the Cam Gilmour Trio with a song that I apologize I didn't catch during your deliberations there.
Interlude on Prescience.
Interlude on Prescience. Closing out tonight's show. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you guys. Really glad to have you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
This has been Rocket Shop on the Radiator, 105.9 WOMM-LP Burlington. Don't forget to come join us next week for Saint Negritude, the Poet Laureate of Belfast, Maine, next week on Rocket Shop here on the Radiator, 105.9 WOMM-LP Burlington.
There you go.
Thank you.
You guys all didn't plan to be on the show.
Good work, Bernie.
It's teamwork.
Crushed it.
That was fun.
You did, anyway.